This is a bit of a shorter video, I think. I mean, depending on how much I'm gonna fucking yap. But again, I think I say this in pretty much all my videos. I kind of just talk just to talk because I have nobody else to talk to. So, so might as well just say whatever. But no. Something I've just been thinking about a lot is like the idea around negative emotions. And I just feel like also this is another thing. Let me just add this quickly on here because first of all, I don't think anybody even watches my bullshit anyway. Um, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with like YouTubers putting an effort to their videos. I mean, that's why people watch them. But I feel like when it comes to certain topics, I feel like casual talk is just okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if that makes sense. Like, obviously, people watch YouTube videos because they want to see and hear something interesting. But sometimes I feel like casual talk is just okay. Like, I feel like if I was going to make a YouTube video where I was going to put in a lot of effort, I don't know, it would have to be something, I don't know. I don't, I don't fucking know. But no. I just want to make like casual talking videos again because I have no one else to talk to, but that's okay. Anyway, Um, the main thing of what I was gonna say, right, is I find the conversation around negative emotions so fucking interesting, and I feel like it's such a good example as to how far removed we are from humanity. And I know some people are going to be like, "Oh, people have always been terrible, and people have always been, It's like, yeah, that's true, but I mean, realistically, we're in a time where we know like this is not like white people destroying the world and then everybody has to redo stuff over. Like we know this by now that there's so many different fields of, or not gonna say fields, but there's so many different facets of psychology and sociology and all these kinds of things. Like we know what is right and wrong, you know what I mean? Like we know that people, adults especially, should have like the critical thinking capacity to recognize that sometimes it's okay to feel negative emotions. And yet, it feels like that is not the case. Like I said, I really feel like we're in an epidemic of just straight stupidity. But I also feel like this has like a facet from like white people's nonsense. I know some people are going to be like, what are you talking about? I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if people have like seen or read or watched a video on like the pillars of white supremacy. Um, One of the mentioned pillars is like this idea of right to comfort. So it's like this idea that nothing else can come before you just feeling comfortable. Of course, talking about like white people. And obviously, we see how this is like fucking detrimental. I mean, white people are detrimental. Like, be fucking serious. But no, like seriously though, like that idea is stupid. It's ridiculous, and like it's not something I feel like we have to necessarily intellectualize. Like we just have to call it what it is. It's fucking stupid. Like if you're a human being and you think, "Oh, I don't deserve to feel sad." It's like everybody does not deserve to, like everybody deserves to feel happy. Like let's put it that way. Everybody deserves to be happy and feel joy, but you're a human being. Like you're going to feel sad about something, and it's so interesting how so many of these people like use that whole crux of what is like a basic good thing, which is like people should feel happy. And then they use it and turn it into something else, like a fucking monster. Like that is literally what white people do. They just like turn shit to monstrosities. But like seriously though, it's just like, I mean, we all saw Inside Out, right? Like we all saw that fucking movie. Like what was the point of the fucking movie? You sometimes you have to feel sad to then feel happy. That is basic human thought. You know what I'm saying? Like that's basic common sense, actually is how I should say it. That's basic common sense. You know what I'm saying? And then not only that, but like going through complex emotions is for the better. Like it's supposed to help you develop as a person. So to see so many people who think that something good is going to come from this whole idea of like, I don't have to feel negative emotions or I never have to feel uncomfortable with something. Like, please get serious. And you know that it's getting particularly bad when it's coming from me, somebody who complains about every fucking thing. But it's just like the way people are acting is so fucking confusing to me. Like genuinely, like again, it's like please get serious. Like please get serious. Um, but in saying that, again, like if you've seen that whole like pillar of white supremacy thing, it's like this right to comfort, whatever fucking nonsense. And then you see how like white Americans especially try to use that to like invalidate basic shit in many facets of life even. Like you'll see like the whole conversation about what's being taught in schools, and these people's entire opinion or I guess train of thought was, well, white kids shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable, blah, 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 as though these people give a shit about kids being safe in schools. But anyway, like the main thing here is that I find it so odd whenever people act like certain emotions are like terrible and you shouldn't feel them. And now listen, this obviously is a more complex conversation because it's like yeah, certain things you shouldn't be mad about or you shouldn't be sad about or like whatever. Like again, like we're talking about like white people here. Why the fuck are you mad that people want equal rights? Like is that something you should actually be mad about or mad about minorities getting a promotion? So then you resort to calling it DEI because you got out fucking hustled. Like, is that actually something you should be mad about? No. You should be mad about, I don't know, modern day slavery that's going on. I don't know. That's probably an option. But like, like there's some things that you should not be mad about. It's not necessarily the feeling, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's not necessarily like the feeling in this case, but it's just like here are some things in this situation and in this capacity you should not be feeling this thing. It's not necessarily that the emotion is bad, but I mean, we'll probably get to that. But it's like in this capacity, you should not be feeling those things. So, I guess in a weird sense of irony here, it's not necessarily like calling out people feeling bad about certain emotions, but it's also just like in certain situations, you should not feel a certain way. And of course, again, that also comes like realizing that comes from developing as a person. If you stay in some like mental padded box that never like enables you to develop, like I mean, have you seen that movie Everything Everything, I think is what it's called? Or have you read the book? I read the book and saw the movie, just to flex on you a little bit. But yeah, I saw the movie and I read the book, and the book is so much better. That's the first of all. But also, like you saw how that girl was. Like her mom kept her locked away for fucking ever for fear of her dying. And then look what happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously it was a happy ending, but like you can't keep yourself locked away mentally, emotionally even, and then expecting to come out the other end like a well-rounded person. Like I'm not sure if that really makes sense. But like yeah. So to see people who are like that, it's just so fucking weird to me. Like it genuinely is so fucking weird to me. And again, situation versus a feeling. There are certain situations where you do not have to be feeling any type of way, and yet people still fucking do. Like grow the fuck up. I said it slowly so that some of you could understand. Grow the fuck up. Like, oh my gosh. But like seriously. But the main thing, like the main thing is even when you do feel a certain emotion, that's when you need to start questioning, okay, why do I feel that emotion? And I guarantee you're probably wondering, what even prompted this loser to yap about this today? It's because of Facebook, or not Facebook. Can you imagine me on Facebook? Anyway, it's because of this Twitter post I saw recently. It was like a whole thread. I didn't read the whole thing, but the post was saying, "Oh, I don't. Maybe I'll insert it here. Maybe not though. Let me just explain it because maybe not." But the post was like, "I find it so funny whenever girls who are fans of like a guy, like whatever profession he may have, he has like a new girlfriend, and then they're trying to pretend that they're like not angry about it." I think that is so fucking funny because it's true. But then also, one of the quote tweets was like, yeah, and then you'll see them post, "Oh, forget him. I actually want her." And it's like, you don't fucking believe that. And like no, for real, like that is really what it is. Like as somebody who used to be in the trenches of Stan Twitter, you will literally see some of that stuff. I mean, even now sometimes on like regular social media, I guess You'll even see that where it's like, oh, forget him, I want her. Oh, I actually think she's the hotter one. Oh, blah, blah. And like, I mean, first of all, true, because let's be serious. Why be attracted to men? Me, a heterosexual, saying that. But anyway, first of all, like, yeah, it is true. But it's also not true because it's like, yeah, you're mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're jealous, and that's okay. Like, that's kind of the point that I'm getting to here. Is like, you are jealous, and that's okay. Like, that's a normal human emotion. It's like, you shouldn't be jealous. I think that's like another thing that people are trying to really like come to terms with. It's like, oh, I know I shouldn't feel this way in this situation. So then it's like people beat themselves up over it. I mean, some of you actually do need to do that because I don't know, you're probably a terrible person. So you actually need to turn into Mike Tyson when you're beating yourself up. But other people who are like, oh, now I'm a bad person because I felt this way and I felt the. It's like that's the problem I feel like with our society is like we are not in a place, and it's never been a place, like especially Western society, I should say, since I live in North America. But like it's never been a place where it's like people are allowed to be people. So now we're dealing with the ramifications of all this nonsense like literally hundreds of years down the line. And it's just like you're a human being, you're gonna experience complex emotions. Like that's what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. Again, shout out Dochi, boom bap, it is what it is. But no, seriously, like that's just what it is. And again, you know that thing people say where it's like your first thought is how you were raised, your second thought is who you are. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I'm hinting at is like if you know that you feel a type of way in a certain situation and then you realize, oh, I shouldn't feel like that. The next thing you need to do is examine why you feel like that and then make sure it doesn't happen again and then also change if you need to. What you don't need to do is make it everybody else's fucking problem, i.e., being a fucking white person. Like, seriously. But like in I guess like again the crux of what I'm trying to say because it's supposed to be like a short video is even as I'm growing up and seeing the kind of person that I want to be, um $30 million richer would be a good start. But like seeing the kind of person I want to be, I like recognize whenever I guess I like feel certain type of way, and it's just like, oh, like it kind of sucks to feel that way, or like be like again jealousy, like I mentioned, like it's okay to feel jealous because we live a life where people will have certain things that you don't have. Like that's just reality. You know what I'm saying? Like that's reality. Again, how you act and how you go about that feeling, that's like that's what defines who you are. So you shouldn't try to kill someone because they have something that you don't have, but you should recognize like, oh, how can I get that thing too? How can I get to this point too? Whatever, whatever. Obviously within a normal fucking capacity, not some crazy weird shit. But like yeah, like jealousy is a normal emotion. I'm not sure if I'd say envy, but sorry, I know it's just like burped. But again, jealousy is a normal emotion. So is envy. Like these are all normal things. Like who you are and your character, it's defined by how you go about those things. I just find it so odd, especially with people talking about like, and again, another part of why I'm saying all this is I think people are like having so many intertwining, intricate conversations, especially as it pertains to like this creeping rise of right wing nonsense. Many of these conversations online, I think, are fucking useless. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, yeah, people are like, "Oh, it's good to talk about these things." Not really. If you're actually saying nothing, I feel like even as I'm talking, I'm kind of saying nothing. But like yeah, like so many of these people, like I'm not gonna name any specific names, even though I low-key have a list. But so many of these people who like make I guess content off of talking about these kinds of things, I'm like side eyeing many of them nowadays. But like yeah, so people talking about like the creeping rise of like right wing nonsense and like talking about really thinking about so many of these things and thinking about your character and thinking about who you are as a person. Usually so many people are like, oh, so I can't feel like this or I can't feel like nigga, like nobody's holding a gun to your head, you know what I mean, like telling you don't ever feel like this or that, like again, like the fucking white supremacy nonsense. Like this is not a forum of like you can't ever feel like this. Like cuz that's not real. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not real life. That is completely antithetical to being a human being. So it's not just, and I feel like even with what I'm saying, even if people do hear this, which who the fuck, but even with like what I'm saying, I feel like people take that to 10. Like the Jonah Hill situation, that was fucking nonsense, man. Like that was straight nonsense. And I feel like that's what people do when they hear some of these things. It's like, oh, so that's permission for me to be a bad person. Well, no, actually. That's actually not what anybody's saying. But like again, like the main thing here is that it's like you feel this way, it's not good, it's wrong, so just think about it. Like you don't have to cope, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to resort to copium of being like, oh, forget him, I actually want her. No, you don't. Like be serious. No, you don't. So people, like, I just feel like you don't have to resort to copium. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're upset about something, yeah, you're upset about it. And if you know you shouldn't be, then think about that. Don't like resort to some kind of fucking nonsense, you know what I mean? Like that's life. And I feel like the main thing, which I could just make this into a longer video to talk about another time, is that I just like hate this again, like the whole thing about people being deprived of their humanity. Like genuinely, that's like the biggest part about this, I feel like, is people are being deprived of humanity to the point where it feels like we have to like intellectualize feeling basic fucking emotions. I mean, that's even what I'm doing right now as I'm talking. But it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like it should not be like this. I'm not going to say it shouldn't be this deep because I mean, everything actually is that deep nowadays. Stay woke out here. But like it's just like you know what I'm saying, like there's a clear train of thought, and obviously it's complex and it depends on the person, but it's clear in terms of like, okay, this is not okay, you shouldn't feel like this, okay, now here's what we do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Like that's a clear train of thought. And yet you still have some people who are like, oh, why should I have to do intellectual or mental work to do blah, 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 blah. Like, just like be serious, like come on now, like be serious. But like yeah, so again, I like the main thing I mentioned here was like jealousy, just because of that specific tweet that I mentioned earlier. But you could kind of like take that to other emotions, like, anger, even sometimes sadness, things like that. But I feel like jealousy, especially, is like the biggest one, or is like the best example, because it's just like, come on now, especially in the society that we live in, there's always going to be people who have some things that you don't have. So it's not even just like knowing that, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, but it's also finding like satisfaction in your own life, so then you're not like always in a comparison battle, you know what I mean? Again, I feel like that's kind of going off to different places here, but yeah, like I feel like you know what I mean. Also, oh my fucking god, like look at the fucking screen. Look, what, 16, fucking 5 16s, like Jesus Christ, what is actually happening? Oh my god, kill me. But like yeah, so that's just kind of like the main thing I wanted to say. um And then I guess I'll end it off here. Okay, bye now.